My name is Allen Ervin, and this is I Am Father. And we're here to talk about fatherhood.
All right, my name is James Gilbert. I'm 54 years old. I have 3 kids. They range from the age of 30, 29, and 24. They've all graduated from college. And the goal with that was for them to always do better than I did. They're all adults now, so the world has custody of them. But I still have custody, but the world has them now because they're adults.
My name is Yao Carr. I'm 45 years old. Have 2 boys. I was awarded custody in 2018. Boys are 21 and 12.
Okay. Hey, listen, statistics show that children without fathers or in a fatherless house are 5 times more likely to go into poverty, commit crime. 9 times more likely to drop out of school, right? 20 times more likely to actually go to prison. And those statistics are hard facts, but it's because of the lack of fathers in the house, right? Or I would change that just a little bit, because you could be present in somebody's life or in your kid's life without being in the house, right? So, and that's really what's key. When I say fatherhood, what thoughts come to your mind?
Fatherhood to me is raising your children, right? Being there for not just the first day of kindergarten, but being there when they have questions, when they need guidance. You look at kids as an empty vase, and it's what you pour into it. That's fatherhood, right? Now, if you're not close enough to pour something in the vase, you're just gonna spill your water on the floor, right?
Right.
So you gotta be close enough to that child to what you're pouring into them is actually gonna help fill them up. And,
right.
and to me, you talk about the dash, that's that dash from empty to full, right? And everybody's point for full is different, right? It could be a little vase, it could be a huge vase, but you gotta pour into your kid. And to me, that's what fatherhood is.
Okay. You said something that's very interesting. You said you have to be close enough.
Yeah.
Now, is that physically close?
No. Listen, you could be locked up and take that collect call, right?
Absolutely.
And the kid can say, Daddy, this happened. And I'm 45 years old now, right? So you're a little older than me. There's plenty of folks older than me, plenty of folks younger than me.
Right.
But in 45 years, I done made a lot of mistakes, right? I've done a lot of things well, but that obstacle course of life that we navigate, you get wisdom from that, right? So I can tell my kid over the telephone, hey, you about to go out and try and buy a car? Well, they're going to try to do this to you and do this to you, because I done bought 4 or 5 cars by now, right? I already know the car buying process. Right. So I might not be there, but I can give you some game on how to prepare yourself to go to the dealership with your money and buy a car.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And it's funny you should say that, because that was one of the bumps I had to go through. I remember I bought a 2000 Tahoe limited edition. Okay. Only one came out back in 2000.
Flexing.
I was flexing, man. Hey. But an older guy in the church told me, he said, "Look, dog, you don't want to buy a car before you buy a house.
That's right.
You want to get that house first."
Yeah.
I didn't listen. Now I got a son trying to do the same thing I did. Yeah. He trying to buy a $38,000 Mustang GT before he get a house, and he got kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, he made one statement. He was like, I was like, well, you need to, opposed to trying to get a car seat, you need to make sure you got enough rooms in this house, bedrooms in this house, for your kids to come over. But when I say fatherhood, what comes to your mind?
When it comes down to fatherhood, my role was totally different. But when I think of fatherhood, I think of a blueprint for our kids. We have to lay out, the blueprint for them and let them know everything that we've done be upfront and honest with them.
Absolutely.
You know, and then show them the route that we took and where we made our mistakes.
Yep.
That's part of that blueprint.
I have 3 boys, 26, 18, and 14. I have 100% custody of my boys, and I'm 49. 49, about to be 50.
Hey, man.
Congrats, man.
Hey, I'm about to be 50, man. I tell you, I wanna go about 20 places and shit.
Do it.
So let's dialogue a little bit. I mean, one of the reasons I say from the period of conception to death, I think that's part of fatherhood, right? Because what's happening, I think, is a lot of, and I'm gonna say kids, because I'm talking about like 21, 22-year-olds. They're not valuing their seed. I mean, they feel like that if they get somebody pregnant, then they can just go get an abortion. That's not the way to look at it, you know? Not only that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, because this is something I'm asking you. I'm posing this right here. So, not only that, but, I mean, they can get somebody pregnant and say, the mama's gonna take care of it. Yeah. Because that's what the system has trained right now. And that's not the attitude that we want. I mean, we want, listen, you're a father and you got to answer to fatherhood now, or you're going to answer to it later.
It's true.
But you are officially a father at this point.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So, talk to, when I say that, I mean, you got fellas out there now that's not valuing their seed. I mean, what type of value would you put on your seed?
Man, it's a big question. I think ultimately, when you really look at it, 100 Black Men of Atlanta, they got a saying like, they will be what they see, right? And I think you talked about how these 20, 21-year-olds, even grown men older than that, having kids and being like, the woman
just out there fucking, right?
Yeah, the woman gonna take care of it, you know?
Right.
They're not worried about taking care of no babies, right? But at the end of the day, if in your mind, when you have a child, you know that you are going to take care of it, you value your seed, like your question, right? Don't make a difference if you had a kid with a jump off, or if you had a kid with a long-term girlfriend, if you had a kid with your wife. In your mind, if you're like, that's my son, that's my daughter, that's my child, I'm gonna be there to take care of it.
Regardless.
Right? Regardless.
Right.
But that's got to happen before you even lay down. That's not gonna happen after you lay down and you found out she's pregnant.
That's
right.
Good.
A dude not gonna change.
That's
right.
Good.
So there's 2 sides of it, right? So for us brothers, if you don't want to have a kid with a chick, you gotta take the precautions to make sure you're not gonna have a kid with her.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
If she's not the woman that you want to raise your kids with, don't be like, oh, I had a chick and she crazy. Well, you knew she was crazy when you met her.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You all them things that, you know, it was fun in the bed, it was fun, we was jumping up and down on each other. You knew what time it was. Right. But you knew she wasn't the type of woman you wanted to have a child with.
Absolutely.
Now you had it. And for the little sisters, for the young women, if you know he only come around on Wednesdays because you Wednesday. You know what I'm saying?
That means, right?
You know what that means. You're Wednesday. Don't have a baby by a dude who don't label you Wednesday.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When I say by Wednesday, I mean that's the only time to come around. You know that. So if a man is for the streets, he's for the streets. He not ready to be a father. Now occasionally lightning strike, and guy will find out he got a baby coming, and he'll get his light and man up and do the right thing. But you just put out the statistics.
Mm-hmm.
Statistics show that if he ain't gonna be there, he ain't gonna be there, right? So, valuing your seed starts with, first of all, valuing who you laying with, right? It starts with valuing yourself, right? If I don't value myself, if I don't see value in me, I don't see value in the mirror, how am I going to see value in what I procreate?
That's good stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, right? If my self-esteem is low, how am I going to be proud of what I create, right? But if I feel like I'm a gift, I recognize what God gave me. Mm-hmm. I recognize what I bring to the table, right? And now I'm about to give y'all some more of this. I can't wait for my son because he gonna be better than me, like you just talked about, right? Mm-hmm. Like And you talk about like I done made these mistakes and we're gonna help them be better.
I want you to grow.
I want you to grow. To me, I'm the floor. I'm not the ceiling.
Absolutely. So what you're saying, what I hear from you is that these young, especially these young kids, and I mean, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. Even the guys that's our age that's still thinking like this, what they have to do is change their paradigm, their fatherhood mental paradigm. Because right now they're thinking they can just go out there and fuck who they want to fuck,
and they can,
and not suffer the consequences if their seed is conceived.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. A man or a woman can go out and fuck who they want to fuck. But it all starts with you, and you hit it before I can hit it, about valuing yourself. That self-love, that's where it comes from. Yeah. And this is what you have to teach our kids that we have. If you teach them self-love, they'll understand. Like I teach my daughter, I said, you look in the mirror, you value. You're more valuable than anything in this house, anything I have. So if anything happens to you, I'm going to war for it. I'm gonna go handle my business. So this new dude that you might be kicking it with, he need to understand, my daddy will kill you. He don't live this life. Jail ain't nothing but a parking lot.
When you say that, made me think of, and you got the shirt Big Boys, but made me think of Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Remember when they came to the door?
Yeah.
They were like, what you want, Nick?
Hey, but I pushed that in her. I kept telling her as she was growing, you don't have to put up with this. You don't have to put up with that.
Yeah.
If you can't treat you like I treat you, and see a lot of people, they take it the wrong way when they hear that, because their mind's so corrupt. But when I tell them I take my daughter on, I used to take her on dates when she was younger. I used to spend a lot of time with her, talk to her, and I talk to her like I talk to normal people in the street. Because I didn't want her to get that hood dude that had the real game that told her, look at me, I got this, anything happen to you, I got you.
Right.
And I told her, the way I talk to you is the way I used to talk to them chicks out in the street. I let you know what to listen for. And I let you know what these dudes gonna be saying just to get in your pants. And that's something that
it's all game.
It's game.
Yeah, it's all
and
game.
So now,
but that's fatherhood.
See,
But see that outside the game, fatherhood is, look, I'm gonna put you on the game.
Right, because if you don't give them the game, especially a female, she gonna be around looking for something that she ain't supposed to be looking for. Even if the father is not there, and if he giving her the game, telling her what's going on, she's not gonna be out there looking for it. So most of these chicks out here who having 4 and 5 babies, I got family members. I got one in particular. Well, I'll say a few. They got more than one child, and they got grandkids now from their children, and they ain't even and they not even my age. You just looking at it, it's like, what was you thinking? Because she never had a father to show her what is supposed to happen when she was a man, and what a man is supposed to do for you.
Right. Taking
care of the house, getting out cutting the grass, teaching her how to change her own tire, so she don't have to depend on anybody. She might want a man. And I don't mean to go so long, but she might want a man, but she needs to understand, I don't need you to do this. I can do this myself.
Yeah. She need, and I don't have girls. I don't have girls. You don't have girls, so I mean,
but it's a different conversation. Because,
it is
because you see so many chicks that you don't ran to. And I'm talking about me.
Yeah, that's when.
I don't ran through it.
Look, but that's the mental.
I'm wholesome, y'all.
Hey, but look, that's the mental paradigm that we have to change. You know what I mean? When I was in college and when I was coming up, I mean, the thing was, man, how many can you get?
Bro, it started in middle school.
I mean,
but it started in middle school.
And you go back because you got this thing that this conversation you're trying to have with the fellas. Yeah. It's like, look, you ain't did nothing. Let me show you what I did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But the virgin shaming started, in sixth 7th grade.
Yeah.
You know,
They were
you
shaming.
still a virgin?
Yeah.
You talking about a 12-year-old looking at another 12-year-old like you still a virgin?
Right.
And we had no
that was looked down on.
Looked down on.
That's what I was talking
Everybody
about
lied.
earlier when I was like, so what you're saying is you got to change the mental paradigm.
Yeah.
You got to change the paradigm because
That's not being a man.
it's not being a man.
That's not being a man.
And if they don't change their paradigm, their mental thought process is it's going to devalue their seed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not going to have no value on their seed.
And that's what it does. So teaching your kids, female or male, how important they are and where not to go and what to look for, that puts value on that.
Okay.
You know, our history, our fathers back in the day, well, my father's father didn't talk to him. And my father didn't talk to me until I was 17, really talked to me.
Right. So he became a father on the opposite end of that dad.
Yes. Yeah.
But that happens.
Yes.
That happens.
And
So
yeah, you're right.
Right.
But he stepped up to the plate.
yeah.
You know, and I was like, okay, where have you been? But I started to listen versus having that.
Got to get rid of that animosity at
Right.
first. Yep.
And but when I started listening, I saw what he was trying to do. He was trying to break the cycle that he had,
Yeah.
where his father never said, "Hey, son, I love you."
Yeah, that's
You
hard.
know, or you know, you need to pay attention to this. You need to do this. You know, even though you ain't been in the picture, most kids will say, "Nigga, you ain't been around. How you gonna tell me what to do?"
And you know what? That alone, to me, you know, that's a process. That's a process because, I mean, you get it. You know, the father wasn't in their life the first 15, all through high school. You know what I'm saying? They done went to college and they got a little success. I mean, that's hard. It's kind of hard.
But look,
but the father got to continue to do that. He got to continue. It's still his seed.
Right.
Success
That's
Yeah.
Here's the thing. These young brothers, right, and they got the animosity, their pops may not have been there. They don't know what it is to be a man.
Man, I'll tell you, man, I mean, fatherhood is really been an absence for so many reasons. I'm telling you, for so many reasons. I mean, this thing is systemic. It can be, you know, generational curses.
Yes.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's a lot. But for me, I think what taught me more about fatherhood, and I'm gonna say this, but my dad wasn't around like I'm here, you know, and there's no blame because I mean, generational curses is strong, but he taught me, and he taught me indirectly.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what he didn't do, oh man, I'm at 150% on trying to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was good in sports, but you know my dad didn't throw the football with me.
Yeah.
So guess what I'm gonna do?
Throw the ball.
I'm gonna throw the football. So it's indirectly, and that can be powerful as well. So it really doesn't matter when you pick up fatherhood. Well, I'm gonna take that back. It does matter when you pick up fatherhood because if you can pick it up at conception, the period of conception,
You 100.
oh, you 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to pick it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what worked for me. What worked for you?
So, unlike your situation, my dad was in my life, right, my entire life. And I looked at what he gave, but his father wasn't in his life, right? So, I got 3 brothers and a sister, right? So, for us, watching him be there, try to provide, but he was riding the bike without training wheels, right? He didn't know when he fell, when he did right. But as a child, you just, you know, obviously as a child, you always you pointing fingers of what you're not happy with, right? So for me, I took all that, and when I found out that my ex-wife was pregnant, and we weren't even married at the time, right? At the time she was, you know, I wouldn't even really classify her as my girlfriend at the time, right? But at the time I found out she was pregnant, in my mind, there was no other way. Because I woke up in the house that my daddy woke up in, right? So to me, well, we together, you say you're pregnant, we about to be a family. Because I'm about to raise my kid. So for me, it wasn't even a choice. It was, I'm a man, I've had a child by this woman. Well, me and this woman, we're gonna try to make it work. 18 years down the road, didn't work out all the way, right? But we still had, 2 children together, still had a life together, still poured a foundation with them together. And so for me, I don't think I had a choice. In my mind, it was from the moment of conception, right? And here's the funny part, here's a funny story, right? So we were together, we were messing around, and when you have sex with people, sex gets casual, right? Exactly. When you got a living girlfriend, it becomes more and more casual. So we hit that point where, you start dating and you're having sex for protection, and then, you go from, reaching in the dresser or the drawer to get a condom to we just gonna roll over and do it again, right? And then first time you had sex without protection, the next time it's kind of just rolls, right?
Right.
So after a few months of that, we say, we gotta go down to Planned Parenthood. We gotta get you on some birth control. She's 20 at the time and I'm 23 at the time, right? And so we gotta get you on the birth control. So we go down Planned Parenthood. She go back and see the doctor, and the doctor come back and say, her cervix is blue. I said, doctor, that's cool, man. Blue cervix, that's what we want to hear. So what type of birth control we take with a blue cervix? Doc said, no, you don't understand. Blue cervix means she's pregnant.
It's already too late. Too late.
Now I'm 23. I haven't really accomplished anything. I haven't accomplished anything. I'm living in an apartment in College Park, Cedarwood. If y'all been in Atlanta long enough, we thought we was fly because we had a 2-story condo with a spiral staircase and a wet bar downstairs. I had a roommate. We each one of us paying $270 a month. Now I'm about to be a daddy, and I'm paying $270 a month rent, right? But from the moment I heard that, that blue cervix meant she was pregnant, it's like a switch flip. The risks I used to take on a daily basis, I wasn't taking those risks no more. Those cats I used to take the risks with, throw them deuces. I see you still my man. To this day, you still my man. But I'm not taking those risks. I'm not taking any risks that's gonna stop me from being there when my child is born and being there throughout their lives. So for me, it was, from the moment that I don't even know if the doctor, could have been a nurse, but whoever came out the back and Planned Parenthood and told me, hey, that cervix is blue.
That's almost
I became hungry for fatherhood.
That's almost a school of hard knocks.
Hungry, that was my key
Hungry
word.
for fatherhood. There we go.
Get that out the way for me.
All right, it's time to eat.
Yes, sir.
I am starving.
This is great. I mean, food by Cooking Couture Atlanta. Cooking Couture Atlanta.com is the website. Phenomenal. Baking cakes. I don't know what this is. What you call this? This is the
fried rice?
No.
Oh, that's the cucumber tomato salad.
Cucumber tomato salad
and onion salad
with some glaze.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was indirectly actually. As far as learning fatherhood, you learn those things that I guess you wish your father would have done, and you make sure you do it. For you, your father was in the house, and he was there to guide you. Listen, well, the damage is done, and we about to become a family. Yeah, which is some good stuff, because I think that's what we were created to do. I mean, I believe that we were created to be fathers. We were created to be family. You know, we were created in the image and likeness of the Father.
Yes, sir.
So family is what's important. How did you learn fatherhood?
I learned fatherhood by watching. I grew up in a neighborhood where there was a lot of older people, and even though my father didn't show up until later on in my life, I watched what these old men did. You know, how they took care of their houses outside. I lived in a house with all women, so my biggest thing was do what I see these old men doing, like taking care of the yard and making sure the car is washed, and, you know, going to the store, picking up stuff, and always being there to do whatever my family needed me to do. But my biggest thing that taught me about being a man was not wanting to disappoint my grandmother. Because she sacrificed so much for me and my sisters and my mom, and I just said, you know, I'd do anything not to, you know, disappoint her. So, you know, I would sit down and make sure that I did what my grandfather used to do. He used to come home from his business down on Auburn Avenue just to watch the news with her. Just at 6 o'clock. He come home.
Make grandparents the way they used to.
Then he go back down Auburn Avenue and do what he was doing, working. But for me, I started coming home from school, doing what I had to do, and I go sit down and watch the news every day at 6 o'clock. You know, because that's what he used to do. You know, and I felt like that's what being a man was. So by the time my dad came into the picture, I had started, you know, I had gotten so far ahead with some of the knowledge, it was okay for him to help me out. I wasn't upset. I was more so excited about him being around because I got somebody who looks just like me, you know, coming to pick me up and talk to me. And I'm like, you know, that's my dad.
How old did this happen?
I was 17.
Okay, so almost done with school.
Yeah. And then, you know, my dad just passed about 3 months ago.
Condolences.
And it was so surreal, man, just being every day. It was like being around him when I got a chance to see him, you know, throughout the week without me traveling and stuff. But when I sat down and talked to him and spent time with him, I was always looking for that nugget. Because he always had something. And I was like, man, I missed all this when I was in school. If I'd have known that then, I wouldn't have dated that girl. You know, but I didn't know that. I was going off of what, you know,
Streets told you.
Streets told me. Oh yeah, hook up with her. But my dad taught me a lot in my old age, which made me a better father. Because I never wanted to do the things he did. So I became a father when I was 24. And I didn't want to do things like not be there. I coached my kids because my boys were first. I coached their baseball team. I took them to church. And see, people at the church used to wonder, they said, how do you get your boys to sit so well? I said, because I tell them, look, I'm up here in the choir. I need for you to sit right there. And if I got to come out of this choir,
It's a problem.
it's going to be a problem. And they knew I was serious.
Yeah.
But guess where I got that from?
Your mom, your dad.
My mom.
Your mom, yep.
So that combination, like you said earlier, two people, information, it's so good when both parents
Are present.
are present, even if it's all up here for that child.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, it was here because my mom had already passed. You know, she passed before my dad passed. So it was like, okay, I still remembered everything. So when I'm talking to my sons, I say, hey, look, y'all sit there. And they sat there. I know you remember that.
Yeah.
Them jokers didn't move.
Yeah. They were good kids, man.
You know.
They were good boys. So I mean, it doesn't matter. Well, I keep saying it doesn't matter because I think it's important that you pick up fatherhood somewhere on your fatherhood dash. You know what I'm saying? When you from the period of conception to the period that you go back to the heavenly Father.
I want you around, around. I want you around, around. I want you around, around. I want you around, 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 around.
I want you to be around for this year, next year, every year.